career was getting started. But anyhow, during the Vietnam time, you began to, there was a lot of unrest, civil unrest in America and around the world. Those times were very volatile. But especially in America, there was a lot of protests and discussion about the war itself. Remember, there was a draft, so young people kind of by nature were against the war and against the draft because it seemed to be sort of not logical. How's that? And in some instances, you would see on the news, some senator who had the political clout that he could keep his teenage son from being drafted or get his teenage son into some cushy job. And you kind of saw it a few times. These guys the fix was in,
Right.
And that it really didn't seem fair. not just in my own case, but I'm more identified with the people that were protesting the war. No one had ever really explained why we were having that war. To my mind, we still don't know.
Right.
It just somebody's ego decided they wanted to have a war, and they had a war. So most of these things that have cropped up ever since have always ended kind of miserably. And they never were won. They just sort of dissolved.
Right.
So there was no marching band and all that stuff to get to, like World War II ended with a decisive victory. Anyhow, that angst and anger within me about that situation was fueling my thoughts about the current times. This was 1969. So I started showing the band all the songs that the band learned and played throughout the Creedence career. They literally learned them as instrumentals. They didn't hear the song. I didn't show them the song. So in other words, I would show the bass player his part. Here's how your part goes. Here's how the drums will be. Here's the rhythm guitar part. And the band wouldn't actually hear the whole song until I had gone into the studio after that recording process and added my vocal, sang the background vocal parts.
Oh, wow.
Played the conga drum or the shakers or tambourine or piano, all the other stuff. Then they heard how the song went. So they learned their parts as instrumentals. And this was exactly that way. I showed them how to play what was the form of the song, and I don't think I had told them the name of the song yet. I thought I was writing a song called Favorite Son, because starting in 1952 when they sent my second grade class, I think, home to watch the inauguration, I believe, of Eisenhower. I think that's what it was. And we had a tiny little TV. All I saw was big black limousines. That was my entire impression of the presidential thing, right? And politics. So after that, I kind of would watch parts of the conventions in the summer. There'd be these gigantic, I didn't know what they were then, but these big rooms full of smoke. And every once in a while, somebody, Your Honor, the great state of Texas would like to nominate her favorite son, Billy Saul Estes, or whatever, right? And they all said that, the state of Vermont would like to nominate her favorite son. And so I had written that one down in my book. And I thought I was going to write a kind of a political song. So the band was getting pretty solid in the backing track. And that told me, I was driving a career. I mean, there wasn't someone else telling me. I was the one deciding and pushing, and I think pushing pretty hard. I just I wanted a new single to be ready, and this seemed like it might be it. So at one point after the band had been rehearsing the music for that song, Fortunate Son, for a few weeks, it was getting pretty good. So, all right, I got to write the words. I got to get the whole song together. I took a little yellow tablet like that, went in my bedroom, and sat on the bed, and instead of what I thought it was going to be, the first thing I said, this idea of the red, white, and blue, and they're always super patriots, all this stuff, and bluster and all that, blah, 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 right? And I said, how do I get that? How do I get that? Well, they're waving the flag, and yeah, but what's going on now? They're pointing the cannon at you, right? Yeah, but it ain't me. And I realized, oh wow, that's something I can repeat. It ain't me. I ain't no, and literally I just sort of did it in front of you, almost the way it played out of me sitting on that bed. Literally walked in, and 20 minutes later walked out with the whole song.
Wow.
Coming from I didn't have anything other than Favorite Son. The rest was just the stuff that was boiling in my head at the time, of course. Basically because of well-heeled people getting out of the draft, which kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
I just, there were a lot of guys, now that I was had been in the military, and I knew there were a lot of other guys felt just like me. It wasn't like I didn't grow up that I wanted to be a soldier and go do that. It was just fate that made that happen. So the unfairness of the situation made me want to talk about that.
Well, you nailed it. It's such a great song. So did you have the music all settled out when you went to the musicians and explained to them how the song was going to play out?
Yeah.
Did you have that before the lyrics?
Yes.
Wow.
Almost always.
So
yeah.
What did you think the song was going to be about when you just brought them to music?
Well, as I said, I thought it was going to be Favorite Son.
So you kind of still had the theme in your head of how
it was something
about
around that stuff.
Right.
I just didn't know what it would. And I also, there's a T-shirt though. The older I get, the better I was. I was pretty good then.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, I didn't know what the song was going to be, but. Now I would certainly have a little trepidation. I'd go in a room with a blank. I'm probably going to come out of there with a smiley face that I doodled or something, and no words. Meaning somehow I was counting on myself to do it, but that's pretty precocious. Right?
Yeah, but that's also that divine intervention of the muse. Like you put in the work, and you called. You called upon it for inspiration, and your mind started lighting up. Yeah. And then you started putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
And
that's a wonderful, Joe. That's an amazing process because that's what I do. I'm not a prize fighter, I'm not a baseball pitcher, let's say, because there would be an evolution in his work.
Right.
Or something that you can. I'm not those things, but I am a songwriter, and that. It plays out over it isn't just once, it plays out over some time. And that incidence where you suddenly get a hook into an idea, and then the gods, the muse, they let you continue forward with something that's way better than you ever dreamed was going to be it. And suddenly wow, this is really cool, and you're excited, and you're happy, and it's coming to be. And you realize, as I said, that was, by the way, by far the quickest I ever wrote a song. And that's so quick, so fast, that, it's almost like instant replay. It was so fast that you or at least I did, I go, man, this is really good. And you just like a minute ago, I was taking a breath, hoping that something would happen.
Yeah. Well, that's what's amazing about great songs sometimes. Like John Mellencamp was telling me a story about I Need a Lover That Won't Drive Me Crazy. Like that song he wrote in the shower.
Oh,
Like all
you mean in
together.
one shower?
In one shower. He was just taking a shower, and all of a sudden, I need a lover that won't drive me crazy.
Right.
And then next thing you know, he's got it.
Yep.
And it's an all-time classic.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Well, the songwriter, and especially when he's on his game, he knows and it relates to your own personality, the kind of whatever it is you like, the stuff you have gravitated towards. And so when one of those comes along, it really makes you smile because you're going, yeah, this sounds like me. This is the stuff I like.
Right.
And you go with it because, I mean, you know, I would say notoriously corny. You know, at least I think I am. You know, it's like they make all these jokes nowadays about dad bod and
Dad
all those
jokes.
kind of things. Yeah. I mean, I literally think that's me, right? And some of this, I mean, Center Field is the corniest thing that was ever invented. I mean, I love it. I unashamedly want to be corny. That's who I am. I'm corny, right? But I mean, in that song, it just that resonates with. I'm glad I'm happy. I'm happy to be happy. I want to be happy, right? In other words, I don't have to feel because rock and roll is all about dark colors and leather jackets and piercing and tats and everything and a scowl. Elvis would all that stuff. That's good. I mean, but. I like, well, it seems to be me. I can just be unashamedly happy. And I'm glad like Center Field is so optimistic and just great.
It's an awesome song.
Yeah.
I don't think rock and roll is all dark. I think there's aspects of rock and roll that people